Today we're going to reflect on SD 47.5, the Khandha Sutavanta Sutta, which is translated as the Aggregates Discourse on the learned. Sutavanta means the one who has heard a lot. This is a traditional Indian figure of speech, meaning someone who is wise, learned, Suta. Here, of course, when we say Suta, we always refer to something wholesome, something good. Sutava or Sutavanta, someone learned, in this case learned in the Dharma. And the Dharma is about the aggregates, Khandha. This is from S 22.123. Now, last week we reflected on the sutta before this in the Samyutta, and the previous sutta is numbered as 22.122, and that sutta is called Khandha Sutavanta Sutta, the discourse or the aggregates discourse on the morally virtuous. So these two suttas, they come one after the other and they form a set. The first one is about the morally virtuous, how he practices reflecting on the five aggregates. And today, the practitioner is the wise person. So here we see two kinds of practitioners. The one who is morally virtuous, who keeps the precepts. Maybe he's not very learned, but he keeps the precepts, or maybe he's a beginner. And here in the S32.133, we have someone who's learned. Of course, here learned means he also keeps the precepts. So here, in other words, we have disciples, followers, practitioners of different personality, different inclinations, different strength, and they are encouraged to practice in the same way. The teachers here are again the same, Sariputta and Mahakotita. In fact, the background is the same. We find these two great teachers probably living together in the forest monastery, and after their evening solitary retreat, they met and they sat down together and reflected on the Dharma. They don't chit-chat, frivolous talk about worldly things. Here they rehearse the Dharma. In other words, they ask each other questions. In this case, Mahakotita, the junior monk, questions the senior monk, Sariputta, and Brahma Sariputta answers the questions. Now, all these questions are actually basic questions. The answers are also very basic. Obviously, these two great arhats, they know all these topics very well. So here is where we have a very interesting learning situation where two great masters act as questioners and answerers, the questioner and the respondent. This method is called the Sanghayana method, because this is the way the monks would assemble and ask each other regarding the Buddha's teaching. So these two monks recited the teachings for our benefit. I suspect there were other monks around listening to them, or if not, maybe later either of these monks or both these monks would relate this incident of this teaching to their disciples. So these are very valuable teachings for us. They're very simple. The words are arranged in such a way. In a sense, there's nothing new there, but the arrangement is always renewing itself. In other words, helping us to understand the teachings deeper and deeper. Something inside us change, in other words. So let's look at the sutta, the Aggregates Discourse on the learned, as 22.123. It's on page 67. At one time, the Venerable Sariputta and the Venerable Mahakotita were staying in the deer park near Isipatana outside Benares. So this is the same place as in the previous sutta. So probably they were doing this after each solitary meditation they had every evening. Then in the evening, the Venerable Mahakotita, having emerged from solitude, approached the Venerable Sariputta and said this to him: Avuso Sariputta, what are the states that should be wisely attended to by a learned monk? So here, in other words, notice the monk's already learned. He knows the sutras, he knows the Dharma. How should he meditate? Wisely attend. What should he habitually think about, if you like? And Sariputta replies, a learned monk, Mahakotita, should wisely attend to the 5 aggregates. In other words, he should reflect on the 5 aggregates. Notice here is the same answer to the question regarding the morally virtuous monk. Here is the learned monk. Of course, we can also include the lay practitioner here, who understands, who knows about the 5 aggregates. So Sariputta says, a learned monk, Kotita, should wisely attend to the 5 aggregates as being impermanent, as suffering or unsatisfactory, as a disease, as a tumor, as a dart, as a calamity, as an affliction, as alien, as breaking up, as void, as non-self. So here we see the 3 characteristics being explained in the simple way which we experience in daily life. I've already explained how the 3 universal characteristics are kind of divided into these 11 qualities in the previous study on the Sila, on the Khandha, Sila, Vanta, Suta. So here basically Sariputta says the wise man, the learned man, should reflect on the 5 aggregates in terms of the 3 universal characteristics of impermanence, unsatisfactoriness, and non-self. Then Sariputta continues, what are the 5 aggregates? They are namely the aggregate of form that is clung to, the aggregate of feeling that is clung to, the aggregate of perception that is clung to, the aggregate of formations that are clung to, the aggregate of consciousness that is clung to. So these are the 5 aggregates. Notice here, Sariputta simply mentions the 5 aggregates. It is clearly the Mahakotita knows all this. So this is teaching for the younger monks, for people like us to reflect on, to be familiar with the 5 aggregates. So in a sense, this is when we suspend our thinking. We try to experience these aggregates directly as being impermanent, unsatisfactory, non-self. And as we do that, this peace and clarity inside us grows. So in other words, we are learning to renounce the world, renounce the 5 senses, the 6 senses, by focusing our mind on the nature of the aggregates. Then Sariputta continues, a learned monk, Avuso Kotita, should wisely attend to the 5 aggregates as being impermanent, as suffering or unsatisfactory, as a disease, as a tumor, as a dart, as a calamity, as an affliction, as alien, as breaking up, as void, as non-self. So I have 11 terms, expressions here. So as we listen, we may click with one of these words, one of these expressions, or maybe more than one. And we just let this feeling move along, and then making our understanding of the Dharma grow wider, clearer, and more complete. Then there is the benefit of this reflection. Notice there is the reflection of impermanence. There is a perception of impermanence here, and there is the perception of suffering, of dukkha here, and also the perception of non-self, all the three are there. Now from our practical experience, we know actually for lay people, even the reflecting on the impermanence is quite good enough for us. Here three are given because the monks are addressed, the practicing monks are addressed here. So understandably, Sariputta says, it is possible that he would realize the fruit of stream winning. Okay, so here in other words, if you reflect the impermanence of the aggregates of the mind and the body, of what we really are, stream winning will arise in us. This is of course very clear from the 10 suttas in the Samyutta Nikaya, chapter 25. Then after this, Mahapotita questions Sariputta again. This But Avuso Sariputta, what are the states that should be wisely attended to by the monk who is a stream winner? Right? So what about a stream winner? What should we reflect on? And Sariputta replies, Avuso Kotita, these 5 aggregates should be wisely attended to by a monk who is a stream winner too. Right? So even a stream winner should continue reflecting on the same 5 aggregates in the same way. Isn't that interesting? There's nothing new here. Now this is where someone who does not love the Dharma, someone with very strong found will say, oh, this is boring, I already know this. So I want to know something new. Now why do we need to know something new when what we already have is the solution? If we do that, then we're just collecting, like reading newspapers, just read it and we throw it away, we read it and we throw it away. But this is different. This is like medicine, this is like healthy food, this is like fresh air. We keep on partaking of this wonderful nutriment. So even the stream winner reflects on the impermanence, the unsatisfactoriness and the non-self of the 5 aggregates. But the stream winner will look deeper into these realities. In other words, the non-stream winner, the one who's not awakened yet, reflects on the 5 aggregates in a very simple way, and then as the person progresses spiritually, he looks deeper, becomes stream winner, the stream winner looks more deeply into it, the stream winner is free from the fetters of self-view, of doubt, of attachment to rituals and vows. So he sees the 3 universal characteristics of the 5 aggregates more deeply. Then the Sariputta continues, also when the monk who is a stream winner wisely attends to these 5 aggregates as being impermanent, as suffering or unsatisfactory, as a disease, as a tumor, as a dart, as a calamity, as an affliction, as alien, as breaking up, as void, as non-self, it is possible that he would realize the fruit of one's return. Right? Then, Mahapotita questions, but I was so Sariputta, what are the states that should be wisely attended to by a monk who is a once returner? So now what should a once returner do? And Venerable Sariputta replies with the same answer. He says, the once returner should also reflect on the 5 aggregates in the same way. But it's like a piece of music. Okay, first you have this piece of music played by a neophyte, by a beginner. And he practices this piece. Okay? And then he becomes a better musician, let's say a first level musician, a streamer, and plays that music again. He even becomes better at it. Right? Like the arpeggios, as they are called in music, where you play all the scales of music. And then he becomes better at it. Then when he reaches the second stage, he does the same thing. He practices the same things again, but he's better at it. So this is, if you understand the figure of music, you begin to understand the nature of the teaching given here. And there's nothing boring here. So Sariputta replies, the ones Vidana should also reflect on the 5 aggregates in the same way. And then Sariputta adds that if he does this, there is a chance that he will attain the fruit of non-return. It's the next stage. And then we know very well by now, Mahakotita again asks the Venerable Sariputta, what should this non-returner do? And Sariputta replies the same answer, says that, well, the non-returner should reflect on the same thing, that the 5 aggregates in 3 ways, in terms of the 3 characteristics. And if he does so, there is a chance he would become an arahat, will become awakened. So notice here, this reflection grows deeper and deeper. Because this is a general teaching. In other words, there are other things which are not mentioned. For example, meditation, deep meditation. Remember, these different saints, they are abandoning the various fetters set by set as they become saints. So their mind becomes clearer and the understanding grows deeper, they are more peaceful. Then comes the last part. Mahakotita asks Sariputta, this on section 17. But Avuso Sariputta, what are the states that should be wisely attended to by a monk who is an arahat? Okay, here's a very interesting question. But this question has no answer. In the sense that the goal has been gained. So Sariputta says, Avuso Kotita, these 5 aggregates too should be wisely attended to by a monk who is an arahat too. But also the arahat has nothing further to be done or to repeat what has been done. Okay, so here where the arahat is concerned, again, if you understand the figure of musicians, you begin to understand this beautiful short sutta. So we have this musician, first the beginners, they play this piece, and then the first stage, masters, second stage, third stage, then the maestros, the best of them. Now this same highest class of maestro, of course, still plays the same music, but he really knows how to play it very well. He doesn't say, oh no, I'm a maestro and I'm going to stop playing music. He wouldn't say that. He would play the music in the most beautiful way. So here the arahat also reflects on the 5 aggregates in 3 ways. But he does it, he feels very happy doing it. Even if he doesn't do it, he's still peaceful. But he enjoys doing it. And he doesn't need to do it in the sense that he's already awakened, so there's nothing more to be done, nothing more to repeat. He doesn't need to do anything to attain the state anymore. So this last statement is very important to show the arahat is already fully awakened. He doesn't need to become a Buddha or any other level. So we need to correct some of our friends who make the false remarks saying that arahats should become fully awakened or Buddhas are still not fully awakened. So these are very strange and very wrong views which are misrepresenting the Buddha and should be corrected so that we can progress happily in terms of the Dharma. Right? So finally Sariputta says, however, these states that are cultivated, grow, bring about happy dwelling right here and now, and mindfulness and clear comprehension. Right? So the arahats constantly reflecting on the 5 aggregates in terms of the 3 characteristics, live happily, and their minds are calm and clear, fully clear, filled with mindfulness and clear comprehension. So notice here how these 2 great arahats put together one of the most basic sets of teachings, 5 aggregates, in terms of another very basic set of teachings, the 3 characteristics. And these are like basic pieces of music which are so beautiful, and we listen to them. And from this musical sound come many other wonderful, beautiful sounds, symphonies and so on. So here we are, the early Buddhist teachings of how to awaken in this life by reflecting on the impermanence, unsatisfactoriness and non-self of what we really are, the five aggregates. Now let us close this reflection by a short reminder how fortunate we are in this time to still have the suttas with us. And we are born as human beings, blessed with health and ability to understand, to read and to reflect. So let us put together all these abilities and go deeper to understand the Buddha's teaching as preserved in the suttas, to go beyond the words, to go deeper into the meanings of these teachings, to find the peace and clarity that the Buddha and the great Arahants themselves have experienced. Reflecting in this way is wonderful good karma, but above such good karma, may we be blessed with the courage and wisdom to aspire to stream winning in this life itself. In the same token, through our faith in the three jewels, let us send out our loving kindness to all those people who have been kind to us, who have been working to spread the Buddha's teachings, and also to those who are seeking the Dharma. May they be well, may they be happy. And also let us send out our loving kindness to those whom the Dharma have not touched, and to those who have difficulty with the Dharma, that they may find awakening in this life itself. May all beings be well and happy. Sadhu, sadhu, sadhu.